Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the SWAN Pricing Show. My name is Filip Vucic. I'm a pricing mentor.
And I'm Philip Zolotto. I'm the owner of growth marketing agency Valio.
It's like episode 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think we're getting the hang of this. Uh,
We are well trained.
mm. So today we're talking about pricing tactics. You would know them if you're not somebody really familiar with the field. You would know them as pricing strategies, which they are not. But the internet likes to call them that because there's a big keeping difference between price strategy and tactics in general, because strategy is um let's say the direction and tactics are the steps, which means that if we have to go to the other side of the mountain, going over it or around it from the left or around it from the right, that's strategy. And we're going to take this path, and then if it's flooded, go with the boat or to take the horses, or uh, um so that's tactics, right? The specific steps that you need both, absolutely, but you can have one without the other. So it's particularly dangerous when you call everything strategy, because then you can't differentiate from them, especially because mostly what we're going to talk about today are different pricing tactics, but tactics um, don't really mean much, just like certain paths don't. So is this a good street to go down? Well, depending on where you want to go, yes or no. So is if you're talking advertising, is buying Facebook ads good or no? Well, it depends. It can be good, it can be bad, right? Some things come and go. Some things are always here. I mean, door-to-door selling was started as cave-to-cave selling. So, and it's still here and still alive and still the best thing for some things, but not for others, right? So you can't really say if a tactic is successful or not, or good or bad, unless it's a part of a strategy. And if everything is called a strategy, then nothing is a strategy. And as far as I understand this, there's, if we're talking about the SWAN world, the expertise-based services, there's three strategies. There's there's premium pricing, penetration pricing, and economy pricing. That's it. There's also scams, but I don't use that
We'll
as a
leave them
legitimate.
aside. Yeah.
I
For
mean,
this,
it's a strategy, right? This is not a legitimate strategy, but it's a strategy.
it does work.
Yes,
Quite often,
yes.
unfortunately. Yeah.
So those are the three strategies that you can use. And the danger in switching between tactics and strategy and not differentiating between them, using them as synonyms, is that you can change tactics and it's fine. It's even prudent, it's even smart, because this road is blocked. This YouTube stuff worked a year ago, now it doesn't. Now we have to take something else, right? We have to switch to something or change the. That's fine. But changing the strategy is a huge cost, because if we're going over the mountain and now we want to go around it, we have to go back or sideways. So basically, you start over. If you're changing the strategy, you're starting over. So you can change your tactics like you're changing your socks, but not your strategies. And this is why it's important to know the distinction, right? So 3 strategies, pick one, and then go and see which tactics get you there or get you closer to this. Right. What pricing tactics do you usually use, Philip? Let's start from that.
I use the one and only, at least in my respectable case and scenario. I've gone through with a lot of them simply for the experience. It's normal stuff. But nowadays, both in consulting business, the agency business, and other activities I'm involved in as a partner is value-based pricing, result-based. That is primary because that way we are positioning ourselves as a true advisor, a wingman, and a partner of our respectable clients and customers. And that is very important because there are alternatives. Quite often you'll see, especially in the marketing world, in the development, cost-based plus methodology. It's cool. It does work, definitely. But with every tactic, as you mentioned, also has its limitations.
Oh yeah.
You're top capping yourself and your potential gain and optimizing entire case and scenario through choosing the right tactic is a smart thing to do, and that way you can move forward and grow your business. When I was starting business, for example, we had a regular cost-based plus methodology for the development, for deploying the service, etc., etc. Luckily for me, I quite soon decided to switch that simply because with switching the paradigm and the approach, you're also targeting another respectable audience. And the relationship building is entirely different. So practically in my case is the situation that value-based pricing, results-based, allowed us to be fully in accordance with our values and long-term plan. Business-wise, for me personally, as the owner of one or several businesses, and that's it. Because I'm very focused and I'm always emphasizing the importance of symbiosis, collaboration, partnership, and value-based pricing, result-based was the ideal place to be in that respective realm. Without top cap, and also you are being seen, perceived, and sitting by side of your clients and customers as a partner. And that is a ideal case and scenario for us, for example.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of tactics, probably hundreds of them, but I think some categories are useful here. So what you're talking about is pricing on the basis of the perceived value of the client. Exactly. So when you say value-based, results-based, you're talking about not on some objective calculated figure that you gather data about and then you put it into a formula. No, not necessarily. You talk to the client, and then with the client you got what this means to them, and maybe a part of that value is data based, part is hope based, part is ego based. Doesn't really matter, right? On the other hand, you have, let's say, market-based pricing. So what do the others charge? And that can work, right? That's like so penetration pricing is going to be based on this. And then you have the cost-based ones, right? But of course there's output-based as well, when you just measure how much stuff did you get them, how many pages, how many web pages, how many logos, how many versions of a logo, how many options they got, how many hours of tinkering with the product, so change requests, how many bugs are you required to take care of. These are all output based, which is also fine, right? You then have specific tricks like bundle pricing, where things are considered differently in bundles. Some people call psychological pricing a tactic, which I don't think it is. I think there's no pricing that is not psychological, unless you're selling to robots or you're selling to rigid systems for like tenders, which deliberately don't allow any human involvement after the rules were set. These are very bad place to be an expert, I think.
Absolutely.
in any shape or form, because they are really good at things which have a certain objective quality that you can easily measure against, right? So, right, how many blocks of stone, how many computer chips, how many, even how many hours of standardized work, right? You can get an office clean or not clean. That's fairly binary, but so it makes sense to say 130 hours of office cleaning.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
130 hours of consulting, what is that? Who is doing the consulting?
Yeah. And what is the
Because
output? What is the result of that? Yeah.
yes, what is because it's clear what the result of the 130 hours of
Yeah.
office cleaning is. That's
Yeah.
very clear, and it's very easy to check,
Yeah.
right? Is it clean or not clean? And here there's no such thing. It's a very interesting exercise to think what actually changed a year after I was working with a client. I completely recommend trying that out for anybody that hears this. I think you can learn a lot from this. So there's or all sorts of things that people throw in as tactics, which they call strategies. Which okay, that I mean it can work like that, right? Something like optionals, so options pricing. Yeah, sure, you can do that, or productized services. I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
pricing
That is
productized
practically a
services.
combination of bundling the service scope and everything. And that way you can scale up depending on the required scope of the activities and play around with the offer, especially checking and adequately tracking the general demand from the
Mm-hmm.
market, so you can fit adequately the optimal cases and products to fit the market, price wise, scope wise, and in the end to compete adequately, if that is something what you want to achieve.
Right. And what would you say are the main differences between the duck fields and the so the commoditized services and the expertise based services?
Yeah, the main difference is the fact that in the DAX case, you are practically leaning on something existing, what somebody else is doing in terms of pricing, the positioning, and everything, and you are following that as a rule and without adequate analysis, and you are completely leaving behind entire concept and paradigm in what you are going for. If you are, for example, an expert, a consultant in one respectable field, which is demanded on the market, and you are limiting yourself with, for example, cost-based methodology overall on the market. Why? In the same time, in SWAN case, a level of flexibility and creativity is appreciated. And that
Mm-hmm.
is the point. I'll take just the example of value-based pricing, result-based principle. You can play on so many levels. If you arrange a business cooperation with your respective client and customer, you can be paid one portion in fixed fee plus success fee. Success fee can be percentage of income, percentage of gross margin, percentage of net margin, percentage of overall savings you've made for the client, etc., etc. So many things. Everything what is in that respectable case and scenario quantifiable can be put into overall calculation of value-based pricing and result-based principle if you chose that tactic to go within your respectable niche and in cooperation with your clients and customers. So, as mentioned, the difference is in Duck's case, they're choosing from the table the key what they have on the table, and that's it, without thinking about it more elaborately. And in SWAN case, you'll be fitting according to your long-term plan and goals for your business.
Okay. Yes, and it's way less to be certain of anything in our
Mm-hmm.
field, um, for anyone. So it's very hard to go with the objective ones and have them be fair, because um, in order to go 100% objective, you're going to have to substitute some words or some terms for others, and that's going to lose a lot of meaning.
Yeah.
Because so a typical example is the designer who says, no, I'm comfortable charging by the hour. And I say, okay, whose hour? D- so do you do the design, or your apprentice, right? Or your mom, who does the design? I mean, an hour of design by itself doesn't mean anything,
Exactly.
right? Um, and you never know when you buy hours of design, how many hours of whose did you take. And even there, even when you know whose they are, um, in the SWAN kinds of fields, like programming, it's very easy for a senior to be not 20%, 30% better than juniors. It can be 16 times or 60 times.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And you cannot charge. Nobody's going to pay 60 times the hourly rate, because that doesn't seem reasonable. It may be reasonable objectively, but we don't usually work in fields where this is possible, and our clients don't. More to the point, so they don't see how would this possibly be okay. And I mean, you have a senior that comes in and solves a problem in half an hour, by understanding the underlying context, where you would have 10 juniors running around like headless chickens and producing more bugs. And
Mhm.
yes, that is 60 times more efficient, but you can't charge it like that,
Yeah.
right? So I've seen cases where people lost money on their best people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We had that conversation. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's because it's an ill-fitting system. It's
Yeah.
it simply is. And you have things like dynamic pricing, which is what Uber does, which I don't think fits at all into our world,
No, no, no.
into Swan world, because it's data driven, and like I said, data is hard to come by, and it's doesn't tell the whole story. This is what I mean by substitute, right? Um, so just like it doesn't make sense to charge by the hour, it doesn't make sense to charge by the paper. So let's say you're a designer and you have to print everything out that you do on a normal printing paper, and you have to use this font size or whatever, and per paper they charge you like this. And I mean, yeah, you can count that. You can. You can objectively count how many papers that is. Whether you got some value out of this, that's that's not in the paper count, right? So just because you can count hours or papers or paper clips that were used doesn't mean that it actually has any bearing on the value that you actually got, right? um Also, things like freemium pricing, um also a popular one with software. It's harder to do with human costs, but I have a great example of a client that made um, a platform
Mhm.
with the premium content, because he does the templates and things once, and then people can enjoy the more general ones for a very low fee,
Mhm.
like $1 a
Mhm.
month, and then for if they want access to a larger number of customized things, then they pay a much more substantial premium. So this can work. It's just more of a specialized thing, and it usually requires technology. Otherwise, it doesn't work well, because if somebody is spending time, that usually costs too much, right? But it can work on the um, faster moving, let's say low touch elements, right? Can you explain a little bit the low touch, high touch?
Yeah, it's practically in respect of a case in which you have more involvement in the respectable activity scope, and in parallel when you need to do more to deploy or deliver something. So that is the main difference between those two options, low touch and high touch examples. And overall, when we are speaking about every kind of any kind of platform or even a software as a service type, practically they are a low touch format long term, because initially the build up was some level of cost, investment, and everything else, and afterwards you're focusing on maintaining, enhancement, and following the suggestions and requirements of your respectable clients and customers. So you are building the system as you go, optimizing, and everything is a part of some regular subscription plan depending on the feature set you have in your pricing tier.
Mm. Yeah. So one other niche thing that came to my mind is pay as you want. So pay as
Yeah,
much as you
yeah,
want, which also works for the low touch stuff. Or for I've seen this on social media where people have very informative channels, and then you have buy me a coffee, like a place where people can support them basically by making a donation for them. Or oh yeah, which leads me to Patreon and simple subscriptions, which leads me to retainers.
yeah.
Retainers are definitely a tactic, which can work under any of the strategies. However, there's pluses and minuses for retainers as well. So you first, what do you have against retainers?
Uh, uh, One thing I have against retainers is the way they are being communicating to the clients.
Mm,
What I always suggest in my consultancy and helping and supporting others to that respective around, communicate the overall fixed price, which is distributed in equal monthly installments, so you can prevent this situation. For example, you sign the contract with your respectable client for 12 months. And yeah, you get to the summer, the business load is lower for them, and they just take a phone, call you. Philip, you know what? We are on vacation for 2 months now. Can we start paying for the service? No. Oh, that happened to me three
mm-hmm.
times. Every time I was rejecting a client, and it was in the earlier stage of my business, and then I decided retainer is definitely a cool policy, but we want to be communicating the retainer. It is a one-time fee, which is being able, we just enable for the clients and customers to pay in installments, and that way you prevent those BS. Quite often they're happening not only to the marketing world in any
Yeah, yeah.
expertise base, but also that way way too often, because they simply have a tendency and a feeling they can just turn off, just push the turn off button or pause, and that's it. And when they want to continue, it's on again. No, it doesn't work that way.
So it's the same amount of money paid in the same time. It's just psychologically different, and this is why I
Exactly.
said all pricing is psychological pricing,
Exactly.
especially in this one world. So I want to just shout out and mention things like packages. I think we covered this, but then you have last minute pricing or seasonal pricing or discounting is definitely a tactic for sure. Um, you have markup and markdown pricing things like that. Oh yeah, I didn't say what I had against retainers. Um, I mean, retainer is not one thing. There's different types of retainers,
Yeah.
but basically all of them are only good if they distribute the risk evenly. If they remove risk from one side completely, then it's usually bad for the relationship, because if you don't bear any risk at all, then you're a vendor.
Exactly.
And some people would say, and sure, but it's not really. I don't think it's positive to be viewed as a vendor, because yeah, um, nobody really cares about is just how much, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Um, in order for anybody to view you as a partner, you need to risk something as well,
Yeah.
along with them. Share the risk,
Yeah.
right?
Put your skin in the
Uh,
game. Exactly that.
and then you can also charge for sharing the risk, and that's fine, because
Mhm.
doing the work is doing the work, and sharing the risk is sharing the risk. These are two completely different things, and both need to be paid. But unless if you just put everything, all the risks on the client, then they're only going to keep you as much as they have to. So I've seen this with lawyers, when they say, okay, so there's an X number of hours that I can work for you under this retainer per month. But if we go over this, then you have to pay extra. And if we go under this, you still have to pay, of course, right?
Mhm.
So what? You will always get the money if you don't do anything, or you do more, you'll get more. There's no way that a client can profit from this. They're taking all of the risk, and no wonder the clients usually don't like that. That they will say yes if they think they have to, but at the first sign of trouble, or a first way of getting rid of you, they will, because it's a bad deal for them, right? And then what people do to compensate that is try to add additional services that nobody really asked them for, which is not price creep, it's price seep, as Alan Weiss says, right? Price creep is what the client does to you. Price seep is what you do to yourself, because nobody asked you to do this, right? And quite often nobody will ever notice, but you burn out because of it. Because on top of all the things that you have to do now, you also, and you in your own head, you did this for this client, so you have to be able to do it for that client. So now you don't sleep and don't eat.
It's a never-ending game,
It is.
and a good roadway to burnout, as
Oh
you mentioned.
yes, major roadway to burn out. So anyway, um there's quite a few ways that you can look at a pricing tactic, right? All of the ones that we already said, and you know, high value per account and low value per account, or mostly self-serve, or complex complex close up
Mhm.
service, where you hold their hand all the time and do it for you and show me how. There's all sorts of things that you can put into the service of your pricing. But I think the first step and the point of this is to know the difference between a strategy and a tactic, and only uh, even look at tactics after you decide what the strategy is, and you don't change that. Change tactics as much as you like, but you don't change the strategy for a long while. Otherwise, you're just redoing from start and redoing from start, and that the expense of that really can really bring a firm down
Yeah,
in
yeah.
general, right? Or an individual, right? Anything else?
I think we covered it quite good. I just want once more to mention to kind of embed in the head of the audience overall, and you mentioned it, and we already talked about it. Is the fact, okay, when you are if you are distributing the risk with your respective client and customer, then you can demand premium price. If entire risk is on them and they're paying you retainer, whatever the amount, your vendor, the service provider, somebody who can be easily switched to somebody else. In the SWAN's case, the ideal case and scenario is you to position as a partner, being paid for the value you generate, and entire communication and the approach should be focused on mitigating the risk as much as possible for the client, or at least balance it. So that way you can have adequate control over entire process. Because as you mentioned also about the retainers, the problem with them is if the risk is only on the client side, it is only a matter of time when they'll say bye to you. It's so simple. It's so simple.
A race to the bottom can never be won.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Where can people find you, Philip?
People can find me on LinkedIn, also my agency page, Agency, and my consulting practice, philipzolota.com.
Right. I'm back on YouTube. And I'm also, of course, on LinkedIn, pretty active there, and on fearless-pricing.com. This was great. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Take care. Bye.